Hey all, so I want to explain how you're going to deal with color for your poster, okay? So you're allowed to use 4-color process. So technically the number of colors you can use in your poster is unlimited. From an aesthetic point of view, I want you to limit the number of colors so that your poster has more impact. Okay, so when you're working in Illustrator, the best thing to do is use global swatches, and that's what I'm going to explain here. We went over this in semester 1, but that's been a little while. Okay, so the swatches that are in the swatches panel by default in Illustrator are regular swatches. Okay, so this is this first color. So if I add this color, so I've chosen this orangey yellow, if I add it to my swatches, it's going to be added as a global color now by default. Like last year, Illustrator updated this. So global colors are by default. So if I add it, it has this little triangle in the corner. So the swatch looks like this one. Okay, it has the triangle, but no spot in the color. So what happens is, let's say I'm creating my poster and I have all this artwork all over the place that has the global color applied to it. Okay, so all of this has this swatch applied to it. And this artwork is all mixed up in my poster. So it's kind of hard to select because it's all intertwined with other artwork. So now the beauty of the global swatch is that I can double click on the swatch itself, turn on preview, and if I want to edit the color, I can slide these around and look, all the colors that have that swatch attributed to it change. Okay, so if we do that and I click OK, now all the artwork is changed on its own. In a way, it's kind of like a paragraph style in InDesign. Okay, so when it's a regular swatch, like just one of these squares, nothing happens. Okay, nothing happens. If I select this artwork and I go give it this red, and then I deselect it, and now, like, again, I'm starting over from scratch. If all these squares are like intertwined in my artwork on my poster and I want to change the color, now I'm stuck with having to go select them, which is annoying. Because look, now when I double click on this color, global is not checked. And even if I have preview on and I change the color, nothing happens. All I've done is change the color of the swatch. So I'm stuck having to select all this artwork, and it's really hard to do because it's all mixed in my poster, and go and click on the swatch. So that's just annoying. So what you're gonna do is just make sure that from the start, your color you choose and you apply on the page has the little triangle in the corner. And to get the triangle, you turn on global here. Okay, and that's going to help you as you go. If you modify the color, if you modify the swatches color, it'll change on the page. The other benefit of this, again, I'm going to go and maybe I'll bring the squares back and I'll make them my green color. The other benefit of that is that I can select a square and look at the color panel now. It's only one slider. So it's behaving a little bit like a spot color. So now I can use a tint of the color. Okay, so do not use opacity. Almost nobody should use opacity for this project. Okay, that's not how you create lighter colors. Okay, the only time you're going to use opacity, I'm going to put this back. The only time you're going to use opacity is if you want an overlapping look. Okay, so if I grab this and I go to opacity and I reduce the opacity of it, yes, the color, oh, this isn't a good example. I'm going to make this black. See, so I see through. This thing is transparent, it's translucent, I see through it. So if you want this effect, then you use opacity. Okay, but other than that, if you're just going for a lighter green, then I'll just put this back, then you use a tint of the color. Okay, Dave Bromley explained this to you too in class in the past while. So if I want a lighter green but I don't want to see through it, I use the color slider. This is really important for production, for print production. If you have transparency in your file, it makes printing more complicated. So that's why we do this, okay? So ignore the opacity slider until you literally, if your design demands that you see through the colors. So I think the last thing is you're not allowed to have spot color in this project. It all has to be CMYK. So I noticed in a few mood boards that people had used spot colors. So you just shouldn't have spot colors from the start, because this project doesn't have spot colors built into it. So if you do, so let's say I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to apply this color to it, and this is a spot color. That means on the printing press it's going to produce a plate just for that color. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do, I can do a couple of things. Let's see if I double click on the swatch, and then I could call it Al's Orange. You can name it, but you don't even have to name it. It doesn't matter. Switch it to process and keep it on global. Okay, and this slider doesn't matter. Okay, you can put it to what you want. It doesn't matter. And I click OK. So the little dot is gone now in the corner, and this is no longer in a spot color. So now I don't have any spot colors left in my panel. And if I go Window, Separations Preview, I should see, this is something you're going to have to check at the end of your, well, all along while you're working on your poster, and for sure at the end when you're going to submit it, that you only see CMYK in this panel, that there isn't a spot color here. And the last thing is that you can have a spot color in your swatches, but that you're not using it on the page, and it'll still appear here. So the best thing to do towards the end of your work is go to your swatches panel and select the flyout menu and select all unused swatches, and just hit the trash can here and delete them from your panel and see what's left here. Okay, so it's only the colors you've used in your Illustrator document. Okay, so just to sum up, no spot colors in this, only CMYK colors, and just for your convenience, use global colors so that I can come in here and change this color, and the work that has the color attributed to it will change. And you should all, in the title bar of your document, see CMYK. It should not be an RGB. Okay, and if ever you're in RGB, I guess you can go document color mode and switch it here. Okay, that's because you set it up wrong to start with. So if you follow my video for setting up your Illustrator file, it says to choose the print preset, and that'll give you CMYK. But if ever you're working in your poster and it says RGB up here, do this, choose CMYK from here. Okay, so I think that covers everything related to color for your poster. If you have questions, just contact me.